This is Alex, and if you're watching this tutorial, we're going to be talking about iMovie, the newest version of iMovie. This is a new tutorial. If you've seen my old iMovie tutorial, we're actually using the version now. It's right down here, this little star. 2017 and later iMovie on our new iMac computers. Now, one of the reasons I start you guys on iMovie, even if it's in one of the more consumer-based programs, is because it gets you into the basics of editing, and it comes with every single Mac computer. So if you get a new Apple, an iMac, or you get a laptop and a MacBook Pro, chances are it'll have iMovie on it. And it's just a good way to get into editing. It covers the basics, and there's actually some shortcuts to doing some really cool stuff. You'll find that you'll be able to make a slideshow, for instance, very effectively. You'll find that you'll be able to edit something that maybe requires just some basic editing really quickly. So for some cases where you might need something quickly done, and maybe you don't have Final Cut on your computer, or there's a situation where you just need something that's handy and quick, iMovie is really good for those situations. It can process complex files, even 4K files, 4K video, and it still behaves like any editing program. It still follows the same basic rules. It has a timeline. We move through time and we cut together little chunks of video to make a story of some kind, whether it's a documentary or a fiction story or a slideshow or whatever the case may be. So for this first assignment, we're going to have you create a silent film using some stock footage that I am providing you. It's called the Chicken Chase Assignment. It's a really cool assignment I've done for a couple of years now, and a lot of students really enjoy it. And it's just to get into the basics of editing, to help you learn iMovie and how iMovie works, and also to challenge you a little bit, because film began as a silent form. Film began without dialogue. I mean, there was, in some cases, dialogue as text, but as you know, there was an innovation of later was actually having sync dialogue in movies, and then we got into more complex, sound effects and things like that. So if you can tell a story without any kind of verbal cues, I think it's a really handy way to show, don't tell, as the old saying goes. So this assignment will give you some stock footage of these three characters. It's going to be a chicken, as the chicken chase, a guy in a suit, and a savage, and they're all in the desert, and they all interact in different ways. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go into the tutorial folder. If I haven't given this to you yet, you should go ahead and get it. It's going to be the Video Production, Editing, Resources, and Tutorials folder. I'm going to go in there, and there's a Chicken Chase video folder. I'm going to go inside of that. Chicken Chase, Video Production 1, iMovie. And you'll see there's 4 packets in here. And basically what these are collections of video clips. If I go ahead and I were to click on one and I hit this little preview here, I can see a little thumbnail, and I can actually play. You can see it's just, here's the next one, video packet 2. A little more footage here. Go on to packet 3. Oop. There's some of the guy in the suit. And packet 4. Oops, packet 4 right here. Oh, I have to click this and play. And now this one is the chicken. As you can see, it's different shots. Different shots of the chicken. Couple different ones you can choose there. And these go on very long. Each one of these has a lot of different clips of this gentleman, different clips of the savage, different clips of the hill, and the stuff that happens here, and some other stuff. So basically, you're going to get all this raw footage, and you're going to put it together, and everybody gets the same footage, but we all end up with something different. That's the kind of challenge here. You're just going to put together a short film, just a couple minutes long, it could be 2 or 3 minutes, and it all ends up being something different for each person. So one person did a cut which, had the guy in the suit wandering in the desert. His car broke down, so that student started with the sound of an engine struggling over black, and then it said the title, and then it just cut to this wide shot of the guy in the suit, walking up, and then little did he know that there was a guy watching him, a cannibal that was going to eat him. So somebody did that. A more traditional take on it is they're both fighting for the chicken. The guy in the suit and the savage are all chasing the chicken. Or maybe you want to do something experimental. There's a lot of crazy footage here, as you'll see. I mean, the first step, you should really just look through these packets of video and see what's there, and try to map out in your mind what cuts do I want to kind of put together a little story. It can be very simple, a very simple narrative, just to kind of get your feet wet. Somebody else did a fake trailer for a pretend movie. Someone else did like a global warming thing where it started off as the guy wandering in the desert in the tie and the suit, and then he ended up being the savage. Ask me, the teacher, I'm Alex, ask me if you'd like to see some examples, and probably I will show you some examples anyway of some finished chicken chase assignments from previous semesters, just to get an idea. So anyways, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch iMovie just to get things started. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to watch this tutorial, and then you're going to eventually start cutting your own chicken chase video. So you're in the first step right now, which is just watching how to get set up in iMovie and just some of the basics here. So I'm going to just hide this window for a second. Now down here at your dock, at the very bottom of the screen, okay, you should see this little star here with iMovie. If it's not there, let me know, because you'll have to go in the applications folder, and we can put it there as a shortcut. But that little star, that's the application. Go ahead and click it. You should see it bouncing up and down like it is right now. That means the program opens. And so you'll probably see something like this. Okay? And there might even be some other projects already in here. And if there are, don't worry about that. Just leave them for now. Okay? You're going to make your own new project. Okay? So this is our little workspace here. Okay? And there's a couple things we do to get started here. Okay? So I'm going to first introduce you to the concept of the event. Now, the event is kind of the container for everything. I guess the iMovie library would be even broader than the event, but there's always going to be an iMovie library, and that will be stored on the computer, or it can be stored on a drive. We're just kind of leaving it on the computer for now. But within the iMovie library, there are these events, and the event is a container, basically, of all the different footage you're going to bring in, and also traditionally the project file itself is contained within the event. That's more of a Final Cut thing. Up here, they kind of put in this little area here, your project media. But think of the event as just the container of everything. So when you import your files, it's going to go into the event file. So the first thing you probably want to do is you go to your iMovie library. You come down here anywhere in this little space right here, okay, on the left side of the screen. Right-click, so hit the right side of the mouse button. And you can hit the pause button, by the way, on this video if you need to pause at any point to just do what I'm doing. So try to follow along and replicate what I'm doing for yourself. So if you have iMovie open, you go to the right side here under iMovie Library, and you right-click and you do New Event, and then just left-click New Event, okay? And then you'll see a little thing come up here. This just gave me the date of today, 7/10/17. But probably what I want to do is actually give it a name. So I'm going to say Chicken Chase Alex. So I know it's my chicken chase, okay? So there it is. And by the way, something else I didn't mention, if it is the first time you're opening iMovie, it might prompt you to actually choose to either make a movie file or a trailer. And that's something that sometimes happens the first time you open iMovie. In this case, there's already projects here. If that happens, you can just go ahead and click that you're making a new movie, because for the most part, that's what we're doing. And the trailer thing is another little, it gives you some templates for how to make a trailer, but we're going to mostly work within making a movie here. So only if that happens, just call me over. But in many cases, iMovie was already used, so you should see some other projects on there, and don't worry about that. So I made my new Chicken Chase Alex event. You see this big Import Media button. It's in this panel here. Okay, this is where our media resources are going to be. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And then it's a matter of just navigating to that Chicken Chase folder. So this is where you just have to kind of browse. So for me, it's on my Alex 650 gigabyte full, drive. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to go into video production, editing, resources, and tutorials. And I'm going to find chicken chase. Here it is. There's the 4 packets. I'm going to choose all of them. If you click the first one, packet 1, and on your keypad below the keypad, hold shift and then click the 4th one, left click, just a regular left click, it'll choose all 4 of them. Then you can click import all. And then here it is. You might see a little thing here. It's importing them. And now you'll notice if I kind of hover over them, there's this little like line, and see how it's sort of fast forwarding it in this is our preview window over here. That's letting me kind of scrub or scan through the footage. So that's a way to kind of jump through, and you can actually jump through all 4 packets of video clips to see what's there. And if you want to just play them in real time, you can go ahead, go back to the beginning of this one. Okay, I'm just going to click, and then I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hit the space bar. Or I'm sorry, you either click click the little triangle or hit the space bar. Space bar does the same thing. Or I can click this guy. As you can see, I can have my mouse over here. I hit space bar, and it's still playing it. If I were to actually click the play button, it's the same thing. Then I can pause it. So if I come back here and I go over and I hover over an area, let's say like right here, I could go ahead and hit the space bar and play from there. And look, I didn't even have to go over to where the play button was in that case. So try to use your keypad as much as you can. There we go. Okay, so you can go through these. You might want to just watch the footage and see what's there. Okay, now you're probably noticing sometimes when I'm clicking, it's putting this yellow kind of box around this. So that's something that has to do with, selecting the clip. Right now, if I were to click on the whole basic video packet, it's choosing everything. Okay, so if I were to go ahead and down here, this is where your timeline is going to be. If I were to click and drag, it would actually put the whole chunk of video clips down there from packet 2. I actually don't want to do that though. Okay, because I want to actually put together a video with little pieces of video. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Now you notice these little kind of pies or circular pies are completing. That implies that iMovie is in the process of importing your footage, but you can still edit it while it's importing, just so you know. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to start to make cuts. Okay, so I can go ahead, I can scrub through this footage and find moments that I want. Let's say I want to find, where's that one where he's poking his head over the hill? I think it's way back at the beginning, right, somewhere. Is it over here? Nope. You can always scrub through to see if you can find, oh, here we go. So it's on this guy right here. So what I want to do is I want to hit play. I want to go to the beginning of this. Now, sometimes it's hard to find that exact beginning. So what can I do to help with that? Well, there's a couple things. On your keyboard, you can hit the arrow keys, the actual arrow keys, left and right, and you can go through time, step by step, frame by frame. So I can actually go all the way right like this to right there, okay? And find that exact moment. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and on my keyboard I can hit I for in. What I just did is I did a mark in. That's what saying I want that little piece that I'm about to take to begin right there, right before his head comes up. Then I'm going to hit spacebar. And a spacebar again, just because I wanted to play a little bit. Actually, I'm going to use my arrows to go back a little bit. And I'm going to hit, okay, let's see, right there. Then he disappears. I'm going to hit O. And I don't know if you can see, the little yellow box is now almost a little slither on the right side there. And it's this little tiny, do you see right here, little selection that I made. And that's my mark in and mark out. And if I wanted to, I could put it down into my timeline. It's a little hard to grab, though. It's so narrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. On your keyboard, hit Command, and then the plus sign, Command plus, couple times, Command plus, Command plus, Command plus. And notice how I'm zooming in. This isn't actually expanding the video clips at all. It's just zooming in on them. Okay, it's actually zooming in on the clips themselves. And there it is. See, that's my selection. The little bit of him coming up. See, and if I wanted to, you can notice as I go to the edges here, see how it turns into that little. When I'm by the edge there, it's almost like a left and right arrow. I could extend it if I wanted to a little more, but of course I don't really want to do that. I still want it to go to right there. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to hover my mouse inside of my selection, whatever's contained in this yellow box, and I'm going to drag it down here. And there it is. There's my first clip. So if I, down here now, I can actually come over and I can move my slider here. You see a little slider to the beginning and hit play. Space bar. And there's my movie so far. Okay? It's that one little clip. And if I wanted to down here too with the timeline active, I could Command plus and I could zoom in on this one as well. Oops. Oh, you know what? I was already expanded there. That's why. I could Command minus to shrink it. And I can Command plus it a couple times. Yeah, that's about as far as I can go there. So cool. Now back up here, again, I could zoom in even more if I wanted to, or actually it might be, oops, sorry, I gotta make this window active. Yeah, I could zoom in even more. You can look how close you can get. Okay, so if this helps you a little bit in terms of making selections, you can zoom in this much. Okay, or I could Command minus and go all the way back so that the 4 packets of videos are just represented by thumbnails. Okay, and this is where again I got my original clip. So I wanted him to poke his head up, but maybe I want to show what he's looking at. So I want to find a clip of the guy in the suit just walking by himself. Let's see if I can find that somewhere where he's kind of lost. Oh, here's a good one. He's kind of, well. So I'm going to come here. Okay. And I'm actually going to go, I'm going to Command plus because I want to zoom in. Now, I selected this clip. As you can see, this is the limits of the clip. I could still do my mark in if I wanted. I could go to the first part here and do my eye. And then say I want to go to where it finishes, where he kind of visors his eye there, and do my O. And as you can see, I made this selection right here, okay? Or I could actually just go ahead, I could just, oops, get off of that a little bit here. Let's select something else. I could click and I could drag the selection, see the little yellow bars, to the exact point that I want. So I could manually drag these if I don't want to do my I and my O, and I could say, you know what, I want it to actually start right here, and I'm going to manually drag, see the front of it there, and I'm going to drag the last part to right before he visors his eyes. Okay, and now I made my selection that way. So if you don't want to do I and O, you can manually drag, but usually to do this, you got to zoom in, do the Command plus. I can even do one more step if I want, just to kind of get us a little closer there. See a little bit closer, you know, the spot I'm trying to grab. So then I go in here, hold the click down, drag it down, and there's my second clip, right? He's walking, he's gonna visor his eyes now. Now maybe I say, you know what, I think that went on a little too long. I don't like that so much. You can actually further edit down here. Now I could just click the whole clip and just hit delete on my keypad, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to Command Z and go back. Which is basically the same as edit undo. You can always edit undo. What I want to do is I actually want to go to the front of the clip. And you see there's this little, it kind of looks like another left and right arrow. I can actually grab it and I can shrink the clip. I can get rid of some of the head of it. And you can actually see in my window up there, I'm starting a little later. I want to start with him already kind of in the process of walking. So there, I've redone where it starts. So this is my new movie so far. The guy looks up. He's walking, but he's a little further along. It doesn't drag as much. It's a little bit more succinct, which I like. So there you go. Okay, now I'm going to go to my next cut. So what do I want to do? I need to find another clip. Maybe I want to show the savage. The savage spotted him, so now he's going to start running toward him. I'm going to shrink back, Command minus. Whoops. Again, make sure it's this window. Click this window, the one with the resources, to make it the active window. Now Command minus. We go back. A little bit easier to manage when I see them kind of zoomed out like this. And I'm going to see if I find something with the savage alone kind of traveling. Let's see. That's not bad if you wanted to show he's kind of catching a scent. I don't want to show them on the same screen yet, though. I got to show... Oh, here we go. This could be him running toward the guy. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do an eye for my mark in. Okay. I want to get a little bit... It's a little bit easier for me if we're zoomed in more. So I'm going to go Command plus, Command plus, Command plus to zoom in. Okay, so it's okay. Still held my spot here. See the mark in spot. And my mark out, I could hit O or I could drag this guy, the closer for the box, the out point. And I'm going to drag it over to just kind of maybe like him running a little bit right here, almost off screen. So I got this little clip here. I'm going to Command plus one more time just so you can see it a little better. So here, actually a couple more times. So here is my selection. I'm going to once again hover in the middle of it, hold the click, drag it down, put it here, and there it is. So now here's my movie so far. I got 3 cuts starting here. So there it is. So that's the idea. You're just going to kind of go through the footage and you're going to kind of find the little pieces of video that you want to assemble and try to make a little story out of it. There are some more details to the program, of course, and a couple other things to show you. Very quickly, we're going to get into some of these in more depth a little later. But, you know, you'll see up here there's a couple different panels. Okay, so this is your media panel. Now, if you go to audio, you'll probably see there's a couple different songs or sound effects that are part of the library, the default library that they have here. You can go ahead and you can click on one, hit spacebar. So I'm going to stop it. So there's some music there. Some of them are more like sound effects. Barn door or bubbles. So maybe you want something like this, you know. If you do, if you wanted some sort of sound effect, you could go ahead, you could just grab one and drag it down underneath the clip you'd like. There's this one here. I don't know why there'd be a duck in the desert, but you know what? Let's just go ahead and let's drag it down here. See this little green box I dragged down here? That's the duck sound effect, and I could put it underneath wherever I want. I could also go to the edge, just like I did with the video clip, and I could extend it or shrink it if I wanted less or more of it. So let's put it right here, maybe underneath where this guy is kind of walking. This might be silly, but hey, you know, just for argument's sake. So I'm going to start a little bit into it right here. So now there's a duck in the background, okay? And we still see, we hear that, I should say, the audio of the wind, that harsh kind of wind sound that came with the video files. It's still there, and it's mixed now with this green sound effect here of the duck. Okay. Now, if you go over the duck sound effect, you'll see there's a line, and I can go ahead, hover over that line. Now there's an up and down arrow, which I can drag the audio up or drag it down if I want it lower or higher. That's volume. So if I want less duck, maybe lower the volume, 28 there. A little quieter. Now the ducks maybe in the distance a little bit, you know, that kind of thing. So you can go ahead and do that. You'll also see on the ends here that there's a little kind of circle, and once again the mouse changes into something when I hover over it. It turns into kind of, I'm down here by the green sound effect of the duck. By the right side there's this little circle. It turns into kind of a left and right arrow. And that lets me do a fade out. Or on the front of it, you'll see when it's a fade in. So I could go ahead, I can drag that, and I could fade out the duck sound a little bit. So it's kind of like this. So it faded away. It's a little more handy, you know, when you're using music, obviously, because then you can fade in or fade out the music sound effect. So if there was a song, let's see right here. Okay, let's go ahead and put this one down. Say I want to fade out of this one a little sooner. Go like that. So it fades really nice there. That was kind of a short sound, but you know, if there's a longer music that's going for a while, you know, you probably want to eventually fade out of it. Maybe it's the end credits. You want to fade to black and the music fade. That's how you can do fades. So really cool kind of stuff there. Now, I also should mention, if you go over the original clips here, you'll see under there's the blue. That's the original audio that's already married. It's already connected to the video file. And you can actually, you'll see there's an up and down arrow for that you can drag down. Maybe you want less wind. Maybe you want no wind. So I'm going to turn that down. And now, the wind is a lot lower and there's the duck. Maybe I'll turn it all the way down. So now it's just the duck. And of course, each clip has its own one. So over here, or over here, I can still hear the wind. So I'd have to turn down the wind on this one too if I wanted it to be consistent. Now there's no sound on this clip. Over here, there wasn't so much wind, there was just the running. There's the running. And maybe I don't want the running. I don't know. Turn it down and now it's gone. You hear a little bit of that guitar riff. That's about it. And I can go ahead and I can highlight these. See, I dragged this box here, and I can delete them. I could delete them one at a time by selecting them like that, but I'm going to drag a little marquee box like that, then hit delete, and they're gone because I don't want those sound effects. Just to show you how that works. Okay, so we went up here. We know the media, the My Media panel is to go back to your original assets. The audio is to go to the sound effects and music. Titles. You might want to put a title at the front. There's all sorts of little templates here for titles. This is, again, something you can play around with a little bit. They have the Star Wars one. They have some fancy ones here that do sparkly stuff, or lower third if you wanted to introduce a character. Or maybe you want to do some, closed captioned, or you want to do some sort of, titles for it being a non-dialogue movie. So you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and grab one. Let's do this little sparkly one here. What you do with the title is if you drag it down, see it's this little guy right here, and you can put it on top of something. And then if I were to play it, you'll see it kind of just does that. Right now it says title because I haven't entered anything, but if I were to click it and go ahead and, whoops, I'm going to just click my scrubber right there to stay there. I'm going to come up here. I can actually double click on it, and I could type in, whatever. Right here in the little preview window. And then there's stuff here you can do, like with the different fonts and different, if it's bold or italic, you can change the color, some of that kind of Microsoft Word kind of stuff, that you might like. So different stuff like that you can do. Now, depending on the effect, it might let you move the text around, or some of them are a little more templatey because it's doing an animation. This one I think is a little bit more limited, but might give you some more controls for that too. You can also come here and once again grab the edge. See, I'm over here. It says you actually see a little 4-0 for 4 seconds. I could grab the front and I could extend it, and now it's 8.4 seconds. So it's actually going to come on the screen for more time. So maybe I want to say there's the title of the movie for a few seconds, and then it goes away. That actually might be too long though. So I'm going to go to this end. I'm going to shorten a little bit. Okay. So chicken chase, a couple seconds, and then it should go away, and then I'll be happy. All right, cool. So again, the ends will extend it if you want it longer. Or you can click in the middle, and you can actually move where it happens. Maybe you want it to happen at the very beginning when his head pops up, and it kind of continues into the next shot. Or maybe you want it over black. What if I want it over black? Well, I'd come up here to my next panel, backgrounds. Backgrounds, there are some backgrounds here that are more like animations of different things that you can kind of, like maps and stuff like that are kind of cool. Or this, like the curtain and different patterns. I want just black right here, just simple black. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some black. And I'm actually going to drag it in front. See, there's a little plus sign. You can always move stuff in front of other things. See, I can even grab this clip here and move it in between these two if I wanted to. You can always change the order of clips if you'd like to. You're never stuck with anything. Or you can delete them as well. So anyway, I put this black here at the beginning. I can extend it if I want. Oops. Grab the front or the back, drag it a little bit, either direction, give it a more head or tail. And then I could drag this on top. So maybe I want this. I want to start on black. It's always good to have a little black at the beginning anyway. And then I just have black, and then it goes chicken chase over black. Okay, a couple seconds, and then it goes into the movie. And you don't have to call it chicken chase. That's just the name of the assignment. Obviously, you could call it Man Lost in the Desert. You could call it, Fight for the Chicken, whatever you want to call it. You need to be creative here. You need to think of a movie. What can you do with this footage? What can you shape out of it? That's really up to you. Now, next up here, after the backgrounds, you'll see there's transitions. Okay, these are those fun things you can put between shots, like a cross dissolve. You just grab one, drag it, and then drag it down here. See this little plus sign? You can put it in between two clips. Now you'll see this. If I go ahead and play, it'll dissolve. See, it fades into the next shot. Maybe I want to put another one. Maybe I want to do a circle open. I wouldn't go crazy with this, but of course you can play around. I'm going to put one here in between these two. It can go anywhere where there's a break in the video, basically. And then I can go circle wipe, okay? And if you want to, you can make these longer. You just double click it, oops, and you can change the duration here. So I'm going to do 4 seconds. Apply. So now it's a little bit of a slower circle lasting 4 seconds. So if you want to slower dissolve, slower whatever, slower page left, you can come up here and sample them and see what they're like. You can kind of do that type of thing. Okay. So that's all the different panels up here. And again, we'll go into more depth with these later. I'm just giving you the basics, throwing them here so you can kind of cut together a little chicken chase video. Now you'll notice above the preview window, there's some other panels here. This is some stuff we'll get into, again, a little more in depth later, but there is one here for kind of like, skin, match color and white balance, and you can play around with this stuff. There is kind of one here just for kind of like, the shadows and the highlights or the color correction. If you want, this is saturation, what end of the spectrum you're going to. So that like levels here, saturation level, how like vivid the colors are, and then if you're more to the blue or the warmer end of the spectrum. There is a crop one as well, if you want to crop the video. We'll get into this a little bit more when we go into the slideshow, but you can go ahead and you can choose to make a punch in a little bit more if you want on the video with that. There's a stability one. There's one here that has to do with the volume, some reducing of noise, some other kind of stuff here. Here's another kind of filter, different types of filters you can put on, audio effect here, a clip filter. There's different ones if you want to, if you want to put like, sepia or vintage or heat wave. So there's some cool little stuff here you can play around with. Maybe you want to make it like a dream sequence or something. So it's really up to you. And there's a couple other things, if you want to go ahead and you want to split a clip in half, you just right click on it. There's this thing here, split clip, breaks it in half. Now I have a little break here. Maybe it's because I want to insert something in between these two. Like I want to go up here and say, oh, I want another shot of, I don't know, I want to just show the desert or something, somewhere where we just see a static shot of the desert. There's a couple of those. You really have to go through this stuff. There's so much footage. But if I can just find a little shot of the desert. You know what? Maybe I'll just, this one, I'm hesitating on this because they walk in it, but maybe I can just go ahead and mark in before they walk. Mark out. Oops. Yeah, I'll go here. Yeah, this should be my in. So mark in here. And then mark out. So I want this little piece here. I'm going to zoom in, Command plus, put it in between these two, and bam, I inserted a clip in between. I'm actually going to turn the audio down on it. Turn the blue down just so it's consistent with the others that don't have any wind going. It's actually no sound going. This one, by the way, I cropped in. That's why we're closer. And then we see this shot. Maybe that's a nice little moment. He kind of looks to his side and he sees the desert. So there might be a reason you want to do that. The only other thing to think about is maybe you want to go back to titles and you want to do some of these scrolling end titles. You can always put those in. Maybe transitions at the end of your movie. You want to go in and put a fade to black, you know, whatever the last shot is. So it'll kind of look like that. And yeah, just put together something 2 or 3 minutes long. Try to be creative. Try to use the footage. Really watch it first. I would go to My Media. I would look at those 4 packets of video, and I would just play through them and see what you have there. And once you've finished with your assignment, you can hand it in to me. We'll screen it and we'll give you some feedback. This will be your first editing assignment using iMovie. So I hope the tutorial was helpful for you. At this point, we're going to let you go ahead and go and set up your project if you haven't already. Start playing around with the files and start assembling your chicken chase video. So until next time, guys, take care and enjoy the project.